Hey everybody, what's going on? So, as mentioned in the title, this is how to use some John Coltrane giant steps ideas to help learn the fingerboard and also develop your vocabulary. And also it's great for fretting hand technique too, which is kind of great. You're getting so many things out of one kind of concept here. The other thing I'm going to do for you is I just jotted down this particular line over the first two and a half bars here. So I'll put this up on the screen as well so you've got it there for you. I'm not going to do tab, but I'm going to show you the fingering and I'll spell it out note by note. So even if you don't read, you're going to get the idea of this. But it is a great thing to read music. Something else I wanted to just mention too is, it's great having programs that notate stuff for you as well, but kind of old school stuff, just jotting things down, you get an idea. If you're not near a laptop, you can always record them on a phone, but I love to also write stuff out sometimes, And with this particular line, it's nothing super complicated, but I think you'll find it scans through the changes well, and it starts to get us thinking harmonically and give us something to do, and also find it all over the net. So again, this is great for just navigating around. If we look at these chord changes, we've got B major, all right, to a D7, to a G major, to a B flat 7, to an E flat major. Okay, so we want to scan through those changes. Now, I also wanted to talk about this thing about how learning the fingerboard. Another thing I don't want to do is this, where you see guys doing this idea. Well, let's say they were using that Coltrane 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern, and by that I mean this. Let's say we're starting on the B major. You'd go 1, 2, the first and second degrees of the major scale, 3, the major third, and then the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 5. That's a 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern. And you hear guys like that. Problem with that is you're moving all around the board unless you play different fingerings each time. And it's also the same pattern for each chord change, right? The one I'm going to play, and I'll play it in the low octave, but then I'm going to do it in the upper octave because it sounds better, is this. You're going to see this on the screen as well. I'll probably put this just below here, right? It's this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just that, all right? And I'll play it slowly now. So it's doing this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, I should go up to the B flat at the end. It's going into the fifth of the E flat major there. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, pretty simple. What I'm doing here though, if you're new to any of this stuff, is I'm using notes from the arpeggio principally. Now, what I didn't do though is play the same shape all the way through. The problem with that is when you do that, it starts to sound very monotonous quickly because you're using the same shape. For instance, if I just played root, third, 5, 7 like this. It's more monotonous, right? But if you vary it and get musical sounding connecting ideas just using the notes from the arpeggios, you're still going to get a line that scans through the changes and will get you through situations sometimes where you have to navigate through fast turnarounds, for example. What we want to do as well with this, just take those 4 chords, and you can jot these down as well on a piece of paper and figure this out, but I've jotted them above as well, above the line. So B major, D7, G major, B flat 7 to E flat major. If you notice, what that's doing is getting you from the key of B to the key of G to the key of E flat major. That's really the 3 key centers of giant steps as written, the original version, right? It moves just between those 3 major keys. Now, does it in a couple of different ways. It's very cool. The B section, second half of the tune, is a slightly different progression sequence than the A section. Now what I like about this is moving rapidly into different key centers. The first 2 beats are B major, right? I'm actually thinking often as B Lydian when I do play through this. major, then it goes to a D7, which is effectively, now it's already modulated into G, or it's going there with the 5 chord, right? So you've gone right from B major into a D7 into G, all right? G major, all right? And then it goes straight to a B flat, dominant 7, all right? It's pretty cool. And then it's, of course, goes into E flat major after that. You've done 3 different key centers, B to G to E flat major there. So this is great for just learning these chords, get the arpeggios under your hand. Plus, what I'm doing with the line as written is I've added a little chromatic thing, which I'm going to explain in a second. But look how little I'm moving. Here's my B major. I might play a little variation. Or that one, I just went root, 3rd, 5, just to the octave, didn't even play the 7. Scans through the changes perfectly. Right through the... right there. Now, what I did here just went up the arpeggio, 1, 3, 5, octave. Then for the D, I came down like this, 5, 3, 1, flat 7, and that connects me to the 3rd of the G major. All right. So just from B to D to G, this is that little variation: root, 3rd, 5th, octave of B major. Right. Down D7, starting on the 5th, but I don't go up to that A, I stay here, A, F sharp, D, C, right? Now I'm on the B, that's the major 3rd of the G. Now, you could just play an arpeggio off there, could sequence through a G major arpeggio, but what I'm doing is I'm going up chromatically from the B to the 5th. This is a line that you guys have probably played in a bass part at some point in time, that chromatic ascension from the 3rd to the 5th. It's in a lot of walking stuff you hear when guys go. Right? I'm just doing that here, so I go like this. Check it out. B major, root, 3rd, 5, octave, D7, 5, 3, root, flat 7. Now for my G major, I play 3rd, 4, sharp 4, 5. Okay? Now we've only got 2 beats on each chord, so these are all 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... And that last half after... This is the B flat 7. I'm starting on the root, down to the flat 7, down to the 6th or 13, the G, and then here's a little chromatic idea, down to an F sharp, which is going to act as a chromatic approach back up into G, which becomes the major 3rd of the E flat major. I didn't want the whole line just to be straight arpeggios, so it's a mixture of using the 7th arpeggios, all right, that's a root, 3rd, 5, 7 in various permutations, and then from the G major, starting on the major 3rd, chromatically ascending to the 5th. Then I move down a half step from that original B that I started this bit to that B flat, which is the root of the B flat 7, like that, okay? It's kind of nice. That last one was exactly as written, right? And then I'm doing little variations on that B major already too. I could go like this. It's another variation there, right? See, it's very easy to get these kind of under your hands. And the other thing I love about this is you're starting to visualize the fingerboard and seeing these arpeggios in different ways. So look, starting this again, here's my B major. That was 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. That's how the written version is. I start on the 5th at the bottom. Still B major, but starting on the 5th. 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, right? Still a 4-note grouping. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I come down D7 from the 5th of D, A, F sharp, D, C, which is 5th, major 3rd, root, flat 7. So we go 5th, root, 3rd, 5th of B, fifth, third, root, 7 of the D7 chord. Now for G major, I go, there's a little chromatic line from the third through to the fifth, chromatically. Third, fourth, sharp, 4, 5, then down a half step here to B flat, which is the root of the B flat 7, root, flat 7, 6th or 13th, and then this chromatic approach, the F sharp back up into G, and now that G is the third of the E flat chord, and I go from the third to the fifth of E flat. Whole thing again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... See how well that fits together, all right? So the next step is to play that everywhere on the instrument, all right? So you just figure out all the places that you can play this that make sense. Now, the easiest place to transpose that would be down here, obviously play it in the written register, because obviously the examples I'm giving, I'm playing an octave high just for clarity. You could do it down here too, right? I don't love it here. It's a little low with this register, but it's still worth playing here. Okay, but up here you can see it speaks better. Little variation, right? And again, like I said, it's teaching you how to move and navigate through chord changes. These chords are moving rapidly and they're not moving in a traditional form of just 2, 5, 1s, right? We've got 1 and then a new 5 of a new key. See, it moves a third away, straight away. So this is a really interesting sequence to get under your hands. And you're learning the fingerboard. Plus, the other thing, look, I'm using every finger of the fretting hand when I play this, right? Straight away, it's every finger is covered. I'm playing chromatic things. Play it here. Play it here. That's going da 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 da, right? Wow. Notice there's no extended fingering. I go from here, right? Down a half step. Here. Right? And that lick, that line, navigates really nicely from a G major and then to a dominant chord, upper minor third, B flat 7, into the E flat major. So sometimes you'll come across this harmonic movement in jazz standards. There's a famous jazz standard called Have You Met Miss Jones? And it has a bridge, which is probably the inspiration for giant steps, similar harmonic movement. So getting these things under your hands, you're going to actually have uses for them. And I'm going to talk in another video, because we don't get too long on this one, with how to use these giant steps ideas for superimpose those over standards and typical turnarounds in jazz. But this little fragment is really a good start for you to just kind of sink your teeth into it. And grab a copy of Giant Steps. It's easy to find, you know. It's in just about every fake book ever produced. And just try running through it like this. Experiment with the arpeggios like I showed you, you know, the way I've added those very simple chromatic ideas too.